Hello, adventurous travelers and friends, and welcome back to Brackwithy Adventures. This is our big year series, all about the year we lived in a van, traveled outside the US to 4 different countries, island hopped in Hawaii, and actually at the very beginning of our trip, did a nice camping road trip, stay at friend's house adventure up the East Coast, which we affectionately called our Vans Suck road trip. And this was because our van wasn't really working at the beginning of our trip. We were feeling really down about it. If you saw chapter 1 of this adventure, we took a trip to Dry Tortugas to get our mind off of things, and that kind of made us realize, hey, wait, we've got a car, we've got a tent, and we've got time. What are we waiting for? So that's all we needed to start ourselves up and out of Florida. Imagine we're in Marco Island, we're packing up the Honda CR-V, and as we head out, what do we get hit with? But a rainstorm. This kind of felt like the universe was really trying to stop me from leaving Marco, but I left anyways. We drove through Disney World, really just to grab barbecue and say bye to my mom. And then we went to NASA. I'm not sure why my mind got stuck on the idea of NASA, but once I get stuck on something, I'm pretty hard to move at that point. We're at NASA, everybody. We finally left our Marco Island prison and we escaped and we're at NASA. See spaceships right there.
Apollo requires an even big rocket, the Saturn 1B, 224 feet long.
The visitor center had a variety of old rockets, interactive experiences and shows. I really liked how you could crawl through the tubes as if you were in the International Space Station, and there was a slide that showed just the right angle it takes for landing. And all those things were really interactive and cool, and I really enjoyed our time there. I was more impressed with it than I even thought I would be, so I'm glad that I stuck on that idea. On the drive out, I called a friend who I was heading over to visit, and before we were going to visit her, we were going to Charleston. She lives closer to Charleston, so she'd been there more than I had, and she gave me a very specific list of things to do. I wrote it down in my journal here. She said I needed to take a carriage tour, visit the market, try a Benny wafer, drink some cheer wine, see the pineapple fountain, swing on the pier, and eat at Vicious Biscuit. Those were her requirements before we could come visit her. So that's what we set out to do. We're in Charleston now, and we're gonna start our day on a carriage tour. We're both a little tired because we're getting over some colds. Michael's the sicker one, but I started it, and it's all thanks to my niece who coughed in my face. Love you, girl. We started with the carriage tour as soon as we were in town. I was elated to find our tour guide was a local history professor, but soon deflated when she spent more time telling us about the horse Rodney than about the town. Thankfully, my friend had also told me to ask about Haint Blue. So I learned that Haint Blue is the Gullah, or Africans who were enslaved in the area, word for spirit, and the light slate blue color acts as a barrier for spirits coming into the home. It's often found on porch roofs. So I spent a lot of my tour looking up at the roofs to see if I could find any Haint Blue. The market was right next to where the carriage tour was, so afterwards we decided to head into there. I found a necklace that I really wish maybe I had bought, but I didn't. And Michael found this sword made out of fish bone, and it was really cool, but it was also really expensive. We also found Benny wafers. Pretty good. What do you think?
Not my cup of tea.
I like the sesame flavor, but it's very dry. So then I had marked off 3 things for my list because I'd done my carriage tour, gone to the market, and I was trying my Benny wafer. So I decided we should probably go for number 4, which was try cheer wine, and we decided to do that over at Lewis Barbecue. After our meal, we took a little relaxation before heading over to the pineapple fountain. The fountain was really pretty, and so I decided to make it like a little mini photo shoot. Right next to the fountain is where the little Sphinx on the pier was. There were boats nearby that were moving around as if they were in some sort of like ballet practice. It was really pretty. And we stayed there for a while before walking all around, seeing the gorgeous pastel houses, reading the historical plaques, and making our way all the way over to the other side of Charleston. And we just felt like this town was so beautiful. I liked the oil lamps that were lit, and I liked the history and the churches and the places. There's so much rich history in Charleston. But eventually our feet were too tired to continue, so we did eventually head back to our Airbnb with the intention of staying a little longer than we thought. We were supposed to just stay there that one day and head out, but I didn't feel like I had gotten enough out of my time yet with Charleston. So we decided we were going to go do a little tour to Fort Sumter. But before we went to Fort Sumter, we had to go to Vicious Biscuit, of course, and finish off the list. Hopefully it's great. It was amazing, but that was a lot of food, like so much food. And now our last thing to do is to go to Sumter, Fort Sumter. So that's where we're heading now, is for our tour. This feels a lot like going to Dry Tortugas instead of a fort, and the trip is a lot smaller.
Lots of
It's a little baby fort. It's a baby fort. And Michael enjoyed trying to calculate how far the cannons could shoot. 2.2 miles.
math.
He did it.
2.2 miles.
And how far is Charleston from here? Is it 2 miles? Where could you shoot Charleston from here?
Oh, that's a good question. Could we shoot? Good.
I mean, I think they said that they were shot, but was it by these cannons? Right? Because they find cannonballs under stuff all the time.
Google Maps says Charleston is about 3 miles.
Okay, so just out of reach. Look at that. That looks totally different than the other forts we've been to. That big black thing. We are going back to the ferry. What did you think, Michael?
Oh man, after me again.
It was fun.
It's a fort.
It was a fort, though.
I enjoyed the history, learning about the artillery and the stories where multiple people were trying to get past the fort or through the fort or destroy the fort. So that was good.
This fort has had a lot of action. We'll say that.
Yeah.
Not all the
compared
forts we've been
the
to
other
have had
ones.
action. If you've been to Charleston before, I would love to know, what were the places that you would have put on your list for someone else? If you haven't been, I thought this list was a fun way for kind of a quick visit to Charleston, since I didn't have a lot of time, but it was all accomplishable in a short amount of time and made me feel good about having experienced some of what Charleston has to offer. So we had a good time, and we had a good time at NASA, which was, you know, an unexpected addition to this trip. This trip was really just kind of planned last minute and just a way to get away, and it might be one of my favorite months in this whole gap year, just because it really had that spontaneity you look for in kind of a long-term travel, and it was also kind of a relief to finally be on the road. So I hope you enjoyed chapter 2 of our Big Year series. We've got more to come soon, so feel free to subscribe. And as always, give it a like, give it some love.
Step 1.
Bye, travelers.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2. Get some good, some food in you. Step 3. Think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4. Everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be